Hi, my name is Peter from macrobeat.co.uk. Today I have a few charts from you where I want to talk a little bit more about the global picture out there between the stocks, Brent crude, the gold, dollar index, and then last I want to talk about dollar CNH, which obviously was one of the topics this week. With the first slide, I would like to have a look at the S&P futures, which has seen a tremendous rally as sort of from the start of the year, and is now slowly coming up to the sort of big resistance area of 28.20, mainly fueled still by all the hopes around the trade agreement between the US and China. We continue to ignore the sort of weaker data in the US as well as across the world, really, where we've seen data in the Eurozone coming off rather sharply. This is really a little bit of a conundrum for me because I would just expect at least at some point that equities start to have a little look at what else is going on out there, especially around the economics. Looking at the next slide, which shows the Brent, the same really here. The start of 2019 is seen where we bottomed out around the 50 level and have rallied ever since. Usually I would anticipate, if I look at this chart, to see some rather strong data out there, good outlook, economic outlook across the world. But with China, that looks like really under pressure, with Eurozone, where the data continues to come softer, as well as really the first sort of indication that the US data has turned somewhat softer. It is really surprising to see oil keep on pushing higher, especially given that the dollar is not really doing much. If we would see a lot, big dollar weakness, I would have some sympathy for the move, but I really do not understand why the equity market and oil keep on pushing higher. In contrast to that, I would love to show you the next slide, which is gold. Gold has obviously been sort of moving higher alongside some of the other asset classes, but in particular, in the last sort of 2 weeks, we have seen very sharp rally in gold, which really broken the correlation to the dollar. So we haven't seen the dollar weakness to the extent as gold has rallied. At the same time, you would expect gold rallying that sharply would really feel that the market is worried about the equity market. But funny enough, the equity market is near the recent highs anyway. So there's a clear dislocation, which makes me really wonder whether the market is just buying gold as a hedge against the outlook worries on global growth, the worries that equities ultimately may start to turn lower. But one of the two is just wrong. I cannot see that stocks keep going up and gold keep going up. One of the two is wrong, and I personally feel that the equity market is the one that is wrong and should actually be seen coming off rather soon. The dollar index, briefly, that I would like to show on the next slide. Really, as we can see, there isn't that much happening on the dollar index. We had a run up to near the highs that we've seen in the back end of last year. It just came sort of down to the mid of the Bollinger Bands, but there isn't really a hell lot going on, given that it feels we are stuck really in terms of there's no divergence opening between the Federal Reserve and the ECB. Both are a tad more dovish. The European data are weaker. So do the US data become weaker. So there is just no trend probably currently for the big dollar. The last slide I have is dollar CNH. Dollar CNH has been a lot of talk about this week around the US want to include the CNH or dollar yuan in the trade talks, and wants to have a pledge from the Chinese that they will not devalue their currency. I mean, I just cannot see the Chinese surrender monetary policy or the level of the renminbi towards the US. That just doesn't make any sense. I would think the maximum they would probably be willing to admit that they go to the G20 mantra, where it says that no country should seek the competitive devaluation. That's about the maximum the US will get when trying to include the CNH in the trade talks. This is it really for me for this week. I wish you a lovely week. Thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye.